Hello students and friends. Today we're going to look at one of my favorite books of all time, Zora Neale Hurston's 1937 novel, Their Eyes Are Watching God. So Hurston was a Harlem Renaissance writer. She was friends with Langston Hughes, the famous poet. She was apparently a really big personality, and if you look her up online, there's a picture that looks remarkably like Queen Latifah. Anyway, I like her writing because it's got a lot of imagery and just a lot of personality in the characters as well. She was what we call a cultural anthropologist, so part of her job was academic work where she would study the way people talk and sing and act in their native places and just record that. So there's some good recordings of her voice at the Library of Congress. But without further ado, let's look at chapter 1 of Their Eyes Are Watching God. So a few pages. Ships at a distance have every man's wish on board. For some, they come in with the tide. For others, they sail forever on the horizon, never out of sight, never landing until the watcher turns his eyes away in resignation, his dreams mocked to death by time. That is the life of men. Now, women forget all those things they don't want to remember and remember everything they don't want to forget. The dream is the truth. Then they act and do things accordingly. So, the beginning of this was a woman, and she had just come back from burying the dead. Not the dead of sick and ailing with friends at the pillow and the feet. She had come back from the sodden and the bloated, the sudden dead, their eyes flung wide open in judgment. The people all saw her come because it was sundown. The sun was gone, but he had left his footprints in the sky. It was a time for sitting on porches beside the road. It was time to hear things and talk. These sitters had been tongueless, earless, eyeless conveniences all day long. Mules and other brutes had occupied their skins. But now the sun and the boss men were gone, so the skins felt powerful and human. They became lords of sounds and lesser things. They passed nations through their mouths. They sat in judgment. Seeing the woman as she was made them remember the envy they had stored up from other times. So they chewed up the back parts of their minds and swallowed with relish. They made burning statements with questions and killing tools out of laughs. It was mass cruelty. A mood came alive. Words walking without masters, walking all together like harmony in a song. What's she doing coming back here in them overalls? Can't she find no dress to put on? Where that blue satin dress she left here in? Where all that money her husband took and died and left her? What that old 40-year-old woman doing with her hair swinging down her back like some young gal? Where she left that young lad of a boy she went off here with? Thought she was gonna marry. Where he left her? What he done with all her money? Betcha he off with some gal so young she ain't even got no hairs. Why don't she stay in her class? When she got to where they were, she turned her face on the Vanderlog and spoke. They scrambled a noisy good evening and left their mouths setting open and their ears full of hope. Her speech was pleasant enough, but she kept walking straight onto her gate. The porch couldn't talk for looking. The men noticed her firm buttocks like she had grapefruits in her hip pockets, the great rope of black hair swinging to her waist and unraveling in the wind like a plume, then her pugnacious breast trying to bore holes in her shirt. They, the men, were saving with the mind what they lost with the eye. The women took the faded shirt and muddy overalls and laid them away for remembrance. It was a weapon against her strength, and if it turned out of no significance still, it was hope that she might fall to their level someday. But nobody moved, nobody spoke, nobody even thought to swallow spit until her gate slammed behind her. Pearl Stone opened her mouth and laughed real hard because she didn't know what else to do. She fell all over Miss Sumpkins while she laughed. Miss Sumpkins snorted violently and sucked her teeth. Y'all let her worry you. You ain't like me. You ain't got her to study about. If she ain't got manners enough to stop and let folks know how she been making out, let her go on. She ain't even worth talking after, Lulu Moss drawled through her nose. She sits high, but she looks low. That's what I say about these old women running after young boys. Phoebe Watson hitched up her rocking chair forward before she spoke. Well, nobody don't know if it's anything to tell or not. Me, I'm her best friend, and I don't know. Maybe us don't know any things like you do, but we all know how she went away from here, and us sure seen her come back. Tain't no use in you trying to cloak no old woman like Janie Starks, Phoebe, friend or no friend. At that, she ain't so old as some of y'all that's talking. She's way past 40 to my knowledge, Phoebe. No more 40 at the outside. She's way too old for a boy like T-Cake. T-Cake ain't been no boy for some time. He's around 30 his own self. Don't care what it was, she could stop and say a few words with us. She act like we done something to her. Pearl Stone complained. She the one been doing wrong. You mean, you mad because she didn't stop and tell us all her business. Anyhow, what you ever know to her to do so bad as y'all make out? The worst thing I ever knowed her do was taking a few years off her age, and that ain't never harmed nobody. Y'all makes me tired. The way you talk and you think the folks in this town don't do nothing in bed except praise the Lord. Y'all have to excuse me, because I'm bound to go take her some supper. Phoebe stood up sharply. Don't mind us, Lulu smiled. Go right ahead. Us can mind your house till you get back. My supper is done. You better go see how she feel. You can let the rest of us know. Lord, Pearl agreed. I done scorched up that little meat and bread too long to talk about. I can stay away from home long as I please. My husband ain't fussy. Oh, Phoebe, if you was ready to go, I could walk over there with you, Miss Simpkins volunteered. It's sort of dusking down dark. The booger man might catch you. Oh, no, I thank you. Nothing could catch me these few steps I'm going. Anyhow, my husband tell me no first-class booger would have me. If she got anything to tell you, you'll hear it. Phoebe hurried on off with a covered bowl in her hands. She left the porch pelting her back with unasked questions. They hoped the answers were cruel and strange. When she arrived at the place, Phoebe Watson didn't go in by the front gate and down the palm walk to the front door. She walked around the fence corner and went in the intimate gate with her heaping plate of mulatto rice. Janie must be round that side. She found her sitting on the steps of the back porch with the lamps all filled and the chimneys clean. Hello, Janie. How you doing? How you coming? Oh, pretty good. I'm trying to soak some of the tiredness and dirt out of my feet. She laughed a little. I see you is. Gal, you sure looks good. You looks like you's his own daughter. They both laughed. Even with them overalls on, you shows your womanhood. Go on. You must think I brought you something when I ain't brought home a thing but myself. That's a gracious plenty. Your friends wouldn't want nothing better. I takes that flattery off of you, Phoebe, because I knows it's from the heart. Janie extended her hand. Good Lord, Phoebe, ain't you going to give me that little rations you brought me? I ain't had a thing on my stomach today except in my hand. They both laughed easily. Give it here and have a seat. I knowed you'd be hungry. No time to be hunting stovewood after dark. My mulatto rice ain't so good this time. Not enough bacon grease, but I reckon it'll kill hungry. I'll tell you in a minute, Janie said, lifting the cover. Gal, it's too good. You switches a mean fanny around in the kitchen. Oh, I ain't much to eat, Janie, but I'm liable to have something sure enough good tomorrow, so 'cause you done come. Janie ate heartily and said nothing. The varicolored cloud dust that the sun had stirred up in the sky was settling by slow degrees. Here, Phoebe, take your old plate. I ain't got a bit of use for an empty dish. That grub sure come in handy. Phoebe laughed at her friend's rough joke. You's just as crazy as you ever was. Hand me that wash rag over on that chair by you, honey. Let me scrub my feet. She took the cloth and rubbed vigorously. Laughter came to her from the big road. Well, I see Mouth Almighty is still sitting up in the same place, and I reckon they got me up in their mouth now. Yes, indeed. You know, if you pass by some people and don't speak to suit them, they got to go way back in your life and see what you ever done. They know more about you than you do your own self. An envious heart makes a treacherous ear. They done heard about you just what they hoped happened. If God don't think no more about them than I do, then they's a lost ball in the high grass. I hears what they say, 'cause they would just collect around my porch 'cause it's on the big road. My husband gets so sick of them, sometimes he makes them all get for home. Sam's right, too. They just wearing out your sitting chairs. Yeah, Sam say most of them goes to church, so they'll be sure to rise in judgment. That's the day every secret is supposed to be made known. They wants to be there and hear it all. Sam is too crazy. You can't stop laughing when you's around him. He says he aims to be there himself so he can find out who stole his corncob bite. Sam, Phoebe, that Sam of yours just won't quit. Crazy thing. So that's just a little bit of the story. So you might want to think about any time that you've seen somebody come back into town from a journey or walk in front of a crowd of people and you know they're talking smack. Or if you've grown up in a small town and you kind of know how this goes. Everybody knows a lot about you and your parents and your grandparents and your cousins and your aunts and your uncles, and they all go way back. So let's look at this story. I want you to think about the differences between men and women in this story, on the presence of nature, and just the beauty of the narrative. So I hope you enjoy and look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks.